Section 2, Part 4. وَلَكُمْ نِصْفُ مَا تَرَكَ أَزْوَاجُكُمْ إِن لَّمْ يَكُن لَّهُنَّ وَلَدٌ فَإِن كَانَ لَهُنَّ وَلَدٌ فَلَكُمُ الرُّبُعُ مِمَّا تَرَكْنَ مِن بَعْدِ وَصِيَّةٍ يُوصِينَ بِهَا أَوْ دَيْنٍ وَلَهُنَّ الرُّبُعُ مِمَّا تَرَكْتُمْ إِن لَّمْ يَكُن لَّكُمْ وَلَدٌ فَإِن كَانَ لَكُمْ وَلَدٌ فَلَهُنَّ الثُّمُنُ مِمَّا تَرَكْتُمْ مِن بَعْدِ وَصِيَّةٍ تُوصُونَ بِهَا أَوْ دَيْنٍ. And to you belong a half of what your wives leave if they die childless. And if they have children, a quarter of what they leave shall be yours after execution of any will they may have bequeathed, and after discharging any outstanding debts. And your wives shall inherit a quarter of what you leave if you die childless. And if you have children, then they shall inherit 1/8 after execution of any will you may have bequeathed, and after discharging any of your outstanding debts. Surah number 4, verse 12. These are the shares of the spouses. They are very clearly stated and need no explanation. After the payment of debts and execution of any bequeathed will, like those of the parents, these shares shall also be given from the total remaining inheritance of a deceased. Section 2, Part 5. وَإِن كَانَ رَجُلٌ يُورَثُ كَلَالَةً أَوْ امْرَأَةٌ وَلَهُ أَخٌ أَوْ أُخْتٌ فَلِكُلِّ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْهُمَا السُّدُسُ فَإِن كَانُوا أَكْثَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ فهم شركاء في الثلث من بعد وصية يوصى بها أو دين غير مضار وصية من الله والله عليم حكيم. And if a man or a woman is made an heir on account of his or her kalala relationship with the deceased, and he or she has one brother or sister, then the brother or sister shall receive 1/6. And if there be more than this, then they shall be sharers in 1/3 after the execution of any will bequeathed and any outstanding debts, without harming anyone. This is a command from God, and God is gracious and all-knowing. Surah number 4, verse 12. After stating the shares of the children, the parents, and the spouses, the shares of other relatives are stated. The most important word in this verse is kalala. Originally, it is a masdar or a verbal noun in the meaning of kalal, that is, feebleness and frailty. To quote a line from Asha's poetry, فَآلَيْتُ لَا أَرْثِي لَهَا مِنْ كَلَالَةٍ, or then I swore that I shall not show any mercy on her because of her feebleness and frailty. Mutammim ibn Nuwaira says, فَكَأَنَّهَا بَعْدَ الْكَلَالَةِ وَالسُّرَى عِلْجٌ تُغَالِيهِ قَزُورٌ مُلْمِعُ. That she-camel after the night's tiring journey is indeed like a wild ass whom even a pregnant donkey tries to overtake. Figuratively, linguists attribute the following 3 meanings to this word. 1. A person who leaves behind neither parents nor children. 2. Any relationship which is not through the parents or children. 3. All of one's relatives except the parents and children. As the Zamakhshari writes in his Kashaf, kalala has 3 meanings. It is an adjective used for a person who leaves behind neither parents nor children. It also means all the relatives of a deceased except his parents and children, and it also denotes the relationships which are not through the deceased parents or children. The Arabs say, مَا وَرِثَ الْمَجْدَ عَنْ كَلَالَةٍ, or he did not become an heir to nobility because of a distant relationship. Likewise, you say, مَا سَمَتَ عَنْ عَيٍّ, or he did not become quiet because he was unable to speak, and ma kaffa an jubnin, or he did not stop because of cowardice. And kalala is a masdar or verbal noun meaning kalal. Kalal means loss of strength because of weakness. Asha says, فَآلَيْتُ لَا أَرْثِي لَهَا مِنْ كَلَالَةٍ, or then I swore that I shall not show any mercy on her because of her feebleness and frailty. Later it was figuratively used for the relationship which is not to the parents and children. The reason for this being that such a relationship is not as strong as the one through the parents and children. And when it is used as an adjective of a legatee or a legator, it means dhu kalala. Similarly, you say falanun min karabati, that is falanun min zavi karabati. And it can also be an adjective like hajaja and faqaqa, meaning foolish. Az-Zamakhshari, Al-Kashaf, Volume 1, page 485. This writer could not find the meaning used in the first meaning, that is, a person who does not leave behind either parents or children in pre-Islamic Arabic poetry, though this usage is grammatically correct. It is used at many instances in pre-Islamic Arabic poetry in the second meaning, that is, the relationship not through the parents or the children. To quote Tirma, يَهُزُّ سِلَاحًا لَمْ يَرِثْهُ كَلَالَةً يَشُكُّ بِهِ مِنْهَا غَمُوذُ الْمَغَابِنِ. He waves his weapon which he did not inherit because of a distant relationship. Through it, he pierces the part concealed in her thighs. Amr ibn Tufail says, وَمَا سَوَّدَتْنِي عَامِرٌ أَنْ كَلَالَةٍ. And the tribe of Amir did not make me the chief because of a distant relationship. According to the Lisan al-Arab, the Arabs say, لَمْ يَرِثْهُ كَلَالَةً. That is, he did not become an heir owing to a distant relation. Rather, he inherited the legacy because of nearness and entitlement to it. Ibn Manzur, Lisan al-Arab, Volume 11, page 592. The third meaning attributed to it, that is, all relatives of a person except his parents and children, is also verified by many examples in pre-Islamic Arabic literature. A Hamasi poet, Yazid ibn al-Hakam, while admonishing his son, says, وَالْمَرْءُ يَبْخَلُ بِالْحُقُوقِ وَلِلْكَلَالَةِ مَا يُسِيمُ. Man shows miserliness in fulfilling the rights imposed on him, and after his death, his distant relatives take away his cattle which graze in the forests. Azhari has quoted a poet's couplet thus, فَإِنَّ أَبَا الْمَرْءِ أَحْمَالَهُ وَمَوْلَى الْكَلَالَةِ لَا يَغْضَبُ. If a person is oppressed and persecuted, it is his father who, in his support, is infuriated the most. Kalala relatives are not infuriated to this extent in such a matter. To quote a Bedouin, I have a lot of wealth and my heirs are distant relatives. Imam Muslim has quoted the following words in a hadith narrated by Javed radhiyallahu anhu. O Prophet of God, only Kalala are my heirs. Muslim, Al-Jami al-Sahih, page 706, hadith number 4148. Many narratives quoted in tafsir works endorse this meaning. Abu Bakr al-Jassas writes in his Ahkam al-Quran, it is narrated from Abu Bakr and Ali that all except the father and the children are Kalala. There are two narrations from Ibn Abbas in this regard. One of them says that all except the father and the children are Kalala, and Muhammad ibn Saleem reports from a Shabi who reports from Ibn Masud that all except the father and the children are Kalala, and Zayd ibn Sabit has also reported this meaning. Al-Jassas, Ahkam al-Quran, Volume 2, page 87. Now, let us consider the verse under discussion. Though our jurists have unanimously preferred the first meaning here, yet the verse itself testifies against this meaning. If we carefully analyze verses 11 and 12 of Surah Nisa from Yusikumullahu fi awladikum, it is observed that after a mention of the shares of the children and the parents, the Almighty has directed us to carry out the distribution of legacy by the words min ba'di wasiyatin yusi biha aw dayn. The directive is repeated in the shares of the spouses thus, min ba'di wasiyatin yusina biha aw dayn, and min ba'di wasiyatin tusuna biha aw dayn. A little contemplation shows that in all these instances the verb is used in the active voice, and the antecedents yusi, yusina, and tusuna are clearly stated in each of these sentences. But in the verse of Kalala, the verb is used in the passive voice. This departure tells us that the subject or file of the verb yusa, that is the legator, in this verse is not stated. Therefore, in this verse, the word Kalala cannot be regarded as an adjective for the deceased. The change conclusively testifies that the Quran has not used the word in its first meaning, which is a person who does not leave behind either parents or children. As far as the second and third meanings are concerned, any of the two can be preferred on the basis of a more delicate grammatical construction, because in both cases the implied meaning remains the same. Hence, in this verse, the verb yurath, in the opinion of this writer, is from the if'al category used in its passive form, and kalala is maf'ul lahu, or an accusative on account of which something is done. Kana here is naqisa, and yurus is its khabar. Rajulun aw imra'atun are the asma of kana. Keeping in mind this analysis of the verse, it can be translated thus: and if a man or a woman is made an heir because of his or her kalala relationship, naturally only the deceased person will have the right to make someone his heir. The meaning of the passive verb yuras in this context can only be that an heir is made in the absence of the heirs whose shares are mentioned above. Consider now the next part of the verse. وَلَهُ أَخٌ أَوْ أُخْتٌ فَلِكُلِّ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْهُمَا السُّدُسُ فَإِنْ كَانُوا أَكْثَرَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ فَهُمْ شُرَكَاءُ فِي الثُّلُثِ مِنْ بَعْدِ وَصِيَّةٍ يُوصَى بِهَا أَوْ دَيْنٍ. After this, there remains no need to say that the remaining 5/6 or 2/3, whatever the case may be, shall be given to the person whom the deceased had made his heir. If it is said, Ahmad has made your son the heir of his wealth, and if he has a brother, then the brother shall be entitled to 1/3 of his share, it clearly means that after the brother receives his share, the remaining money should be given to the son who has actually been made the heir. This directive of the Quran has a very sound reason behind it. Naturally, a deceased can choose to make any brother, sister, aunt, or uncle his heir, but there can be other brothers or uncles besides the one who has been made an heir by the deceased. The case is no different for sisters or aunts also. A person can also prefer any uncle or aunt, but the Almighty does not approve of totally depriving all other associations of the same relationship of any share. Therefore, if a person, for example, has made one of his paternal uncles, a Zahid, the heir to his remaining estate in the presence of two other paternal uncles, then the two shall share equally in 1/3 of what Zahid receives, and Zahid himself shall receive the remaining 2/3. Consider now the remaining part of the verse. The words of the Quran are غَيْرَ مُضَارٍ وَصِيَّةً مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. These words at the end of the verse serve as a warning that making someone an heir should not be a source of harm for any of the rightful heirs. To dispel any element of foul play, the Almighty has fixed the shares of the real heirs. Since according to the verse a person can make any of his kalala relatives his heir, it is emphatically stated that while exercising this prerogative, the rights of a rightful heir should not be usurped. This is not a piece of advice from an earthling. It is what the Creator of the heavens and the earth has directed us about. If any of his creation deliberately deprives the rightful claimant from his share, then he should be aware that God has knowledge of all his deeds, and if he errs unintentionally, the Almighty is gracious and merciful. He does not burden a person with a responsibility he cannot fulfill. All his directives bring ease and facility for his creation, and are not meant to put them through hardship and difficulty.